Imagine a conscious contact with God so strong that no matter what you are doing or not doing, that no matter what your kids are up to or not up to, and that whether you've got the person of your dreams or they're just not cooperating, that you are happy, content, and at peace. A space where everyone else's thoughts, attitudes, and actions are beautiful and exactly as they are supposed to be. Well, this is the space where I like to play. My name is Mischa Z, and this is today's Bitch Slap. Join me as I shed light on the thoughts, actions, and attitudes that are causing you pain, and we train our minds to go to the capital S inner self, the joy that is waiting for us, the God within. Okay, here we go. Today is December something. What day we got? It's December 3rd, it looks like. Yep. I'm here with Tom Kabbash, Tom K, Tom Ka. And I'm going to tell you a few things I know about you, Tom, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. What do you know about me?
I would say you're a waterman. I would say that you're a designer. And when I say waterman, I say serious waterman. I'm talking like legit waterman. You other than fishing, you're pretty committed to the water. You're a designer, and I think you went to Long Beach State or Long Beach Industrial Design or something. What was it?
Yep, Long Beach State University.
Long Beach State. Yep, cool. An entrepreneur. You have started from what I'm aware of, at least, if not more, a few glass companies, sunglass companies or eyeglass companies, right? We had Pleasure Ground, Stern, and now what is turning into Sant Eyewear.
That's right.
Right? Awesome. I know that you're committed to clean eating. Very passionate about that, and it's been super fun to watch that develop. I think you are committed to treating the world better. Part of that is in clean eating, but as far as environmentally and biologically, right? And then I'd also say the committed to treating the world better also manifests in your own personal growth. So I think we have lots of rich content to talk about. For anybody who doesn't know me personal, Tom, you are one of my best friends, right? And so I think we've known each other. I mean, we've been solid friends hanging out for a good, 5-7 years, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep. Yeah, maybe known each other a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting as I was thinking about, okay, we have lots of great content. One, just because I know you, and we've been friends and camped and traveled up to Oregon and different things and lots of walks and just all that stuff.
The whole Satsang experience.
Yes. And I'll tell you, we could talk about that. We could even start with that. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking how, when we first started hanging out, I had broken up with that girl. She moved her out of the house, and I was in sort of that pretty dark spot. And you very graciously provided a lot of time. And then we both somewhere in there, and you were coming out of your, perhaps it was a little dark for you too, because you were unwinding Pleasure Ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was pretty heavy for you because you had a lot of, why don't you tell me about that? Tell me about Pleasure Ground.
Okay. So yeah, Pleasure Ground was the first company sunglass brand that I launched exclusively by myself. I did get outside investment, but and it was in around 2007, 2008. And it was really a dream come true. It was a milestone moment in my life, actually, to get investment into a business plan and an idea that.
If you don't mind me asking, what was that number? So.
Yeah, sure. Well, it was $750,000 of financial cash commitment.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's legit. I mean, that's real.
yeah,
This isn't like someone handing you $20,000 for a pet project. This is
that's
like
true.
real. This is a real deal.
And it's a huge part of my life because of what my upbringing and where I came from, and kind of to really get to the place where someone entrusted me with that commitment. And they were trusting me. It was just an idea. I had worked with this entity, group. It was a family, really, for years, in one capacity or another. So some trust had been built, and um, and they were excited about it. And so it was just an amazing moment. And I mean, I can talk about that as one of a great moment. And but then, kind of more to what you were referencing, at the end of that, probably 7 years later, 7, 8 years later, I was closing that company, and it was a tough time. It was a tough time. It was a hard time for me. I was actually even struggling smoking cigarettes during that time. I dealt with that for a few years, which that's a story into itself. So,
which totally goes, like, anybody that knows you now, like, that totally goes against the picture that we know of Tom Kabbash, right? Like, you would you would you would not be happy for if somebody was smoking around. I would neither.
If no. And I have great compassion and empathy for people that struggle with that addiction. That is
it's a burly beast.
It's a tough one. Yeah. And it was, symptomatic of what I was going through, and it was a challenge. So it's interesting. I didn't realize, like, we were both kind of going through tough times. When I look back at some of my other relationships, good relationships, sometimes they're forged in tough times. It's like, I need someone to hear me, and makes me seemingly that much more available to listen to them and what they're going through. So
isn't that fun? I totally had that awareness. I was like, holy crap, we were both in some heavy times where we thought, or whatever, I thought I was coming out. I was coming out of what I thought was the dream, and it turned out to be, it collapsed around me. And so that was sort of a bitch slap moment for me. The title of the podcast is Bitch Slap. The idea that the universe is like, hey, here's a wake-up call, that you need to do things differently. And of course, I'm fairly dramatic, so, as you know, I can it's easy for me to think along those lines, where some of the most painful times, where the universe had just like smacked me on the side of the head and was like, look, you got to do things differently, how you approach life, all these sorts of things. That was that moment for me. And I don't mean to imply that was that moment for you, because I think we were perhaps coming out of different spaces or different angles or whatever. But anywhere within like that, anything within that sort of pleasure ground time frame where you were like, the universe was like, whack, hey Tom, like, and it could be when you started your company and you were like doing something, and all of a sudden you had to be smacked in the head to be like, oh, I need to go different manufacturing, or I don't know, like, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty clear on what was difficult. Growing up, I grew up in West LA, Venice, Santa Monica, and I was exposed to a lot of businesses, startup guys hustling, doing cool things. And one of the things that I saw was that guys would always present a positive view on things. Okay. When from the outside, I could see that things probably weren't going quite that well, right?
Okay.
And I saw it consistently. I've seen it consistently since then in business. I went to the action sports retailer surf trade show as a kid growing up, and you'd see these brands starting up, and you'd ask guys, oh, how's business? How are things going? You always got a positive. I always felt that no matter what, these leaders of these companies or people in position of influence would always put a positive spin on things. And so when Pleasure Ground was the last there were 2 or 3 years in a row where I expended every idea that I could. This year we're going to do more marketing. This year we're going to launch some more products. This year I'm going to wear my hat backwards, whatever it was.
Yes.
And get investment and outside investment. And then I reached a point where I lost the vision, or I just got that it wasn't going to work. And that's where I really started to struggle, because I still had outstanding bill invoices, accounts receivable. I still had people I was selling product to and doing business with. And so there was a real out of integrity for me to, on the one hand, be trying to be straight with people, or, you know, sell them product, knowing I would deliver the product. I never left anyone owing. I didn't owe anyone anything in the end. Yes. But to sell product to someone and have them be confident that they can turn around and sell it to the customers, and that the company was going to be around for warranties and those sorts of things, that was out of integrity for me, you know, because I knew I was going to ramp down the company. I knew I was on the downward and I was going to be closing it up. And I think that was the toughest time for me, was trying to put that, you know, feeling like I needed to put the positive spin on it, when deep down, or not even deep down, I knew that, you know, I was going to be closing it. And it wasn't until I made it official that I got some freedom around it. And I had a big house that we were renting, running the company out of there. And when I wound that down and got rid of everything, was at the end of it was the end of the year. It was like December something or other. And I just remember January 1st was the last day I had a cigarette.
Oh.
Because this conversation started with my struggles with smoking and the difficulties, you know? And so I don't think it's a coincidence, you know? So anyway.
Oh, it's
I don't know what kind of bitch slaps were in there, but I mean, that's just the process that I went through, and it's a learning experience. I mean,
yeah. Well, you know, what was really cool was, I feel like, as far as my spiritual development and, you know, the heaviness of the space that I was in, like the normal, I guess the bitch slap for me was like the normal channels to mental freedom were clearly not going to work. Like the old little tools that I had were not going to suffice. Like I was in, you know, I needed heavy spiritual help, and that was it. Right. And so, you know, you and I end up in satsang together, and you were a few steps ahead of me in that regard. And I know that, I'll just say for me, that whole moment, I knew that when I jumped into those satsangs, that like the emotions, consciously or unconsciously, I knew that stuff was coming. And I remember, you know, you were like, hey, you might be interested in this. You weren't pushing me too hard, but, you know, BK was like, you got to get into this, and love BK. And, you know, she was so powerful in my life. But yeah, the day I walked over that threshold, man, the emotions just, you know, the threshold of the literal threshold into that tiny little room, man, you know, that was a massive turning point for me. But anyway, I didn't mean to capitalize on this, but I think, tell me about that. Like, I just had the total awareness of like, holy shit, you and I healed together through there. And now, almost incongruent, or again, you're a few steps ahead of me on your business stuff and your creativity side, but I was really thinking like, holy mackerel, like you had some incredible healing there, and then coming out of that, and now it's like manifesting in this Sant eyewear and this 3D and all this stuff. So
yeah, that's cool. A couple of things I wanted to, just for anyone listening that may not understand what a satsang is that Brahman Kiri leads these guided meditations that are to music, and the satsangs can go for a couple hours, and it's beautiful spiritual music. Some of it's in English, some of it's Sanskrit mantras, and so you may not necessarily know what you're chanting, but the experience of it, and then there'll be it could be 6 of us, could be 50 of us.
Yes.
And the energy of everyone chanting, it's a kind of a chant and a repeat, chanting the music, that energy can be really, powerful. We close our eyes for most of it.
Yes.
And so it's like an internal experience and an external experience, because when my eyes are closed, I'm very internal, but then I feel everyone around me. And and the music, I mean, if you didn't get emotional or cry during some of the music, something was really wrong.
Yeah.
We have some mutual friends that would go because they had problems crying, and they would go just to cry, and they would sit between you and I.
Yes, because we were the criers. The other thing that was so great about that, and it really made me appreciate how people might use church or religion or all these other sorts of things, like how I was like, it really woke me up to like, holy mackerel, like the satsang, that environment that BK, created or was in a part of creating, it's such a safe space to go and let the emotions out. And I had never up until that point been willing to let emotions out in that regard or felt safe. So I think it was sort of that combination of I needed to let it out, man. I couldn't hold it anymore. But, by the universe or the grace of God or whatever, like all of a sudden here's a space where I felt safe to do that. And it really has given me appreciation for churches or like the church environment. I could see how like going into a church that's holy and just a really dense space, like wow, that's a nice place for people to be able to go to. What was I going to say? But yeah, you and I cried and cried and cried. Or I'll speak for me, I don't mean to, but we did, man.
Well, you know what, I think we both cried a lot, and we both cried differently. I have a real interest in crying. I think that it's the wonderful emotion. Yeah, I have on my bucket list is to maybe write a book or an outline around crying.
Yeah.
And so you cried differently and I cried differently. And, but for me, that was a time that really opened my heart up and opened me up again. Because, after Pleasure Ground, closing that company, I had a lot of, some fears going forward. I had a lot of hangover of things, in hindsight that, I'd failed and was disempowered around. And so moving forward with business, I had a job where I was just making ends meet, and I was okay with that,
Yeah.
And so I think it definitely help open up my heart. I haven't been frequenting satsang, in the last couple of years. Every once in a while I'll drop in, and my heart, I can close up again pretty quick and easily, So yeah. So I think that that coupled with I don't even know. Well, I've started to take risks again and started to venture out and take start new companies again.
Yes, I've seen it, so it's super fun to watch that progress or that progression for me too. I will say one other thing about the satsang that I really liked was I grew up, mostly with my father, and my father was just a man's man, heavy male energy, and no sisters for me, just a brother, amazing brother. Feel very, as far as brothers go, great brother. Who's put up with my shenanigans over the years, good and bad, and but was the female space there, was that there was a lot of ladies there who were just so loving and kind, and it just really was powerful for me, that sisterly energy, motherly energy, just it was very nurturing. And that's one of the most poignant bits of it for me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I remember, this may sound a little weird, but I remember initially early on, we would do these at BK's house, and the groups could be really small. And there may be 4 or 5 girls and 2 or 3 guys. And one
Yeah.
time I was the only guy. There were 7 or 8 girls, and I knew them well. And one of the things that we can do is what is it we do at the end? The blessing,
Yes.
where everyone gets an opportunity to take a blessing, and everyone's energy gets focused on that one person for a few minutes or for however long. And you really, for me, it was just really sending super positive energy, love, vibes just to them, whatever I could make up it being in my mind. And I just remember that one time I was there and I had like 7 women around me. And I don't mean that in a sexual way. I mean it in an energetic way, like that kind of nurture, care, and love coming from them. I don't think I'll ever forget that. That was awesome.
Yeah. Super beautiful. What a gift to be willing and open to jump into that fray. And yeah. I got a couple directions to go here, but I know, so this is another thing that I was thinking about. I was like, you know what, like the bitch slap idea in your life may not resonate with you necessarily. And I don't mean that negatively. I just mean like it for whatever reason. Obviously I'm creating a podcast around it, so it resonates with me. So I was like, oh my gosh, Tom, you have been such a teacher for me, giving me so many bitch slap moments, right? Where I'm like,
that's one way of putting it.
Yeah. Where I'm like, oh my God, like I just have such a habit of projecting my neuroses and my insecurities onto you. And I'll give you one. If you want to hear one, I'll give you a bitch slap moment, and you will find this really funny. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Okay. So, and this was probably,
I think I want to hear it.
Yeah, no, I think you'll groove on it. You'll groove on it. You'll see, you'll relate. I'm looking for the date so you can see how, I mean, this is probably 3 weeks ago. I can't believe I don't have the, what's that? Yeah, it was a recent one. I'm flipping through. So 11/20, it was around 11/20. So what's that, a month ago? No.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah. So, okay, here we go. So, I was thinking about this, because sometimes when you'll talk politics or some things and you'll have a very strong opinion, right? And I'm like, it might not, I won't have the same strong opinion. And so I get conflicted on how to manage that, right? And so, and you're nodding your head. Say yes, because for people who aren't, yes. Okay, confirmation.
I'm not letting you off the hook.
Yes.
You keep talking.
Okay, good. So I came across this. So I was reading, the Course in Miracles or something, or meditating, and so here's the progression for me. And you got to wait till the end because it'll make sense to you at the end. So I was like, all right, next time this situation comes up with Tom, here I would be like, all right, these are the questions that I could ask, right? Are you talking to hear yourself talk so you can sort through it, right? Or are you wanting me to confirm, agree, or are you trying to convince me that I should think like that way too? Or are you asking for feedback and commentary, right? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, those are some interesting questions. And then depending on those answers, I was like, okay, are you coming from a place of love or anger or open-mindedness or fear? Okay. And I was like, yeah, that's a great thing. Yeah. So I was letting that settle around, slosh around for a minute, like I am right now. Yeah. And then I was like, holy shit. Like, how often am I coming at Tom with these opinions I don't even know what space I'm like, you know me, I'll hook onto something and I'm just full force, right? And I was like, holy shit, I need to ask myself those questions when I'm talking to you so I can, right? Like, I don't need to ask you that shit. I need to ask me that stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was like the whack. I was like, what? So a beautiful moment for me. Anyway, so go ahead. I'll let you chat on that for a minute.
Yeah, I think who knows where I was coming from. I don't know what I was talking about or whatever. But I mean, those are all really good, relevant questions. And sometimes I just like to hear myself. Sometimes I just like being passionate. Just,
Yeah.
I don't care what it's about. Just get me talking about anything and I'll start getting excited about it. So, I mean, who knows? You know, I could be looking for agreement. I could be looking for feedback. I don't know. So those are all good questions. Glad you didn't ask them. No.
I know, right? Well, I
No,
just
I
think
mean, you can ask, and I think you also can probably size it up and judge where I'm coming from or what I'm saying, or is it in response to something we were talking about, you know?
yeah, and I think too, my more of my point was that, like, oftentimes when I'm coming at you with some information, I need to be clear with those questions about me, not about you, right? So I'm like, I'll come up with some new business thought or idea, and I'm just like full force. And Tom, you need to embody this like I am, or it's going to save you, or whatever thought process I'm in, right? And then this is really in what I was thinking in regards to, or in that framework. And I'm like, well, man, like, I will be coming at you super strong. And I don't know, oftentimes, do I just want you to listen?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I looking for open engagement? Or am I coming from a place of open mindedness and love? Or am I coming from, right? So that was the moment for me. I was like, wait a minute, like, I'm projecting all this stuff that I do myself onto you, right?
Yeah.
And I think another cool thing too is, like, how cool to be in the spot in our relationship where we could ask each other that, where it could be like, hey man, are you, like, if I'm wondering that in my brain, why not ask, like, hey man, are you just wanting to talk right now, or are
Yeah.
you like wanting some feedback, or
And sometimes we do that check-in with each
yeah,
other. I mean, it just depends, you know? Yeah.
yeah. But I thought
Yeah.
that was a kind of a cool moment for me.
Yeah. When I can speak a little bit about the bitch slap concept, because I was, what does it mean to me? And when I think back in my life, a bitch slap moment to me is when I get confronted with something and it's painful and I don't want to deal with it. That is one form. So sometimes I act and say things around people. I like to be specific, but I'm not thinking of anything specific. If I do, I'll say it. But and I've got maybe I've rubbed some people the wrong way, and they're not responding to me the way I would like them to, and I'm not being invited, or I'm not being included, or whatever it may be. That can be painful, and so that can be a bitch slap. And then I've got to look at my actions, and I have to see where I was being selfish or having to be right or who knows what. And it just still happens, it still happens. I've been how can I say it? We talked about this the other day a little bit, like the context of trying to be a better person in my life. I'm 53 years old. I grew up with, my dad. I love him. He got killed when I was 15. I went through all this heavy stuff growing up. And I could have easily gone down the road of, doing bad things. But I didn't, for the most part. I got some guidance. I got a mentor, went to college, I kind of straightened things out. And, for the most of my life, I've been trying to be a better person. And it's a practice, right? So at my age, I don't step in it. I don't create as much wreckage, right? So even within Pleasure Ground and closing that company, one of the big positives was at the end, I still have a good relationship with the company, with the group that invested in me and invested in that company, even though we lost the money. We lost most, and that was and there was a moment when it got a little tough with them, but they were good, and I kept the integrity and my actions and my word the best that I could. So fortunately, and knock on wood, I don't create big problems so much. I have I have created some. Gosh, at a job when I first moved to San Diego 15 years ago, I created a bit of a shitstorm at this company, trying to fit in, saying cool things. I was the manager, and I got a bunch of pushback and complaints, and rightfully so. I was just being a jerk, without getting too specific. But so I don't create huge problems like that anymore. But when I have to look at my part, sometimes it's really easy to fess up and go, "Oh, I was being a jerk. Sorry." Da, da, da. Sometimes it is not, and it's really hard. And I have had that not that long ago, probably this year. I can't think of what it was, but where I was really struggling with, cleaning up my part with someone or in a relationship, or really being honest with myself about it. And that's kind of, I guess, like a bitch slap. It's just a painful thing, right? It's a painful process to go through. But if I go through it and I eventually come straight and come clean about it with myself and whomever else, I grow and things get better. And I think, let me just finish with, and I don't like going through that process. I don't want to go through that process, so I want to avoid it. And so the concept of bitch slap is like, I kind of have some resistance to that. It's like, I really prefer to just move forward, and not get into those situations,
Yes.
and like to think that they're part of my past.
Yes.
One of the things too is I'm motivated. Change with me is motivated by pain a lot of times, and that's probably universal, but I'll just speak for myself. And I like to think that it requires less pain and less discomfort for me to change now than it did 10, 20, and 30 years ago.
I love that. And that's actually part of, well, two things. I love how the pain in a relationship and not seeing my part, like it can take the universe being like, whack, here's your part. Right. So I love that concept, and I think that's a great way to think about it from an angle. So love that. And then also I love the idea, and part of what this podcast about is, and having conversations with people like you and others, is that, like, the idea that pain has to be the great motivator. And it's like, yeah, let's learn how to shorten that pain loop. Let's learn how to make it so, hey, perhaps even we're moving from a place of love and joy. That can be the great motivator. And there's that Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love book, where that was one of her lines, or one of her quotes was, or thoughts was like, hey, joy can be the great motivator. Love can be the great, joy can be the great catalyst for change. It doesn't have to be pain. And that was like an aha moment for me. And I was like, holy mackerel, right? Like, yeah, what if we can just like you said, shorten, and perhaps we're just moving from a place of love all the time and growth. I mean, that's the dream, right?
Well, I think, yeah, I think that I want to think that that's, I want to think that that's that I operate in that more often than not.
Yes. I would say on balance, we're we're working towards that and doing a pretty good job at it. I think so. So,
Yeah.
not that we need validation, but I think that for a couple of relatively old dogs or whatever, like we're willing to be part of the greater good. I don't know, however you want to say that, but
Yeah.
I think I was thinking of that book that you read by the Swedish guy or Norwegian guy.
Factfulness.
Factfulness. That seemed to me to be a bit of an awakening or an aha moment or a slight bitch slap where you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I haven't been looking at things right.
Yeah, that's a good book. I think when I listen to like Bill Gates, maybe Warren Buffett, certain people, they describe themselves as optimists, and I don't wake up an optimist. So,
I do. For the record, I do.
okay, cool.
Okay.
And yeah, so look, I've been pretty fortunate. I've I've been to a lot of parts of the world. I've surfed in amazing oceans all over the place. And I remember, I think I was 17 years old, walking down the beach in at Pavones near, in Costa Rica, near the border of Panama, and seeing all this plastic bottles and medical waste on the beach. And I was shocked, I'm like, wow, what is this? It wasn't here yesterday. I'd been there for a little while, and one of the hospitals dumps their medical waste, one of the hospitals from the Bay of Golfito, and it comes scattering the beach, right? I was in Cape Town a few years ago, and I was walking down the beach, and there was the way the currents were, there was probably, hundreds and hundreds of these plastic polypropylene soda bottles and stuff all piled up on the kelp beds. And I've been fortunate to have seen amazing parts of the world and nature. And I've been in China and seen waterways that were so black that you couldn't see half an inch through the top of the water, and just puzzled, like, is this oil? What is this, right? It was just dirty, contaminated water. And so I've had the benefits of surfing in perfect, rainy, stormy offshore peaks in Oxnard, getting barreled off my head, and just, it was kind of a salvation for me, really. My dad was killed when I was 15, to come think of it. My stepdad took his own life that same year. This stuff. It was a tough time, right? And my mom, mentally, she checked out because that's a lot to deal with. And I drank and partied with my buddies. Well, surfing saved me. Going to Oxnard and surfing Rincon in Santa Barbara and going on surf trips, it really probably saved me. And so I was telling someone this the other day. You don't mind if I just kind of riff a little? I would drive down the 405 freeway from Santa Monica to Orange County to go surf with a buddy. I got a pickup truck when I was 15 and a half, and we were zipping all over. And the traffic going northbound on the 405 was intense. It was insane. I mean, tens of thousands of cars, right? We're driving, 50 miles south, and I was looking at these people, and I'm thinking, here, I'm on the fast side of the freeway, and I'm going to surf. All these people are going, in my mind, they were all going to work in an office with fluorescent lights overhead. And that left an impression. And so I just think that nature is, it's just an amazing part of my life, and I'm really fortunate. And so I don't know what I'm talking about, why I got onto this, but the whole environment thing, right, is really, really important. But how important is it? I'm really rambling now because I have to reflect on myself and what I'm doing in my life. I'm a product designer. I make products. I design products that are some of them are going to be in landfill cheapo stuff, right? the one factory I work with makes really high quality products, so they aren't going to be super cheap, and they're not going to be sold in Walmart. So I can enable myself to feel okay about that. So so I think it's kind of like I don't know what got me on this, but I'm bringing it back to motivation, right? Pain motivate as a motivator, and not have it be a motivator, be inspired. And so I don't know. I'm kind of grappling with it back and forth. Can you bring me back to where I was
You know what
going
you're
with
doing?
this?
Actually, I love your train of thinking. I love the riff of, I'm glad you brought up your travel and your travel experience. And, you know, you went to Cuba when they reopened it. You went to Marrakesh and
Before they
Morocco
reopened it.
after that. What's that? Before they reopened and before they
it.
reopened it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I went to Morocco. I mean, I've been to over 30 countries, either for work or surfing or
so
travel, or for fun. Yeah.
And I've never heard you talk about it with the emotion tied to the environmental devastation that you've seen.
You and I have experienced it when we go backpacking.
Yeah.
I mean, we find that, we have this idea that we're going to go out and be with nature. We go out there and we're getting a cell signal. There's a picnic bench that's been airdropped. I mean, come on, dude. It's insane.
It's insane. We thought we were out in the country.
We're thinking
a parking lot on the freeway. Oh my God. But no, I just think that you could say a lot more about sort of the the wastefulness that you've seen. And I love the current state of questioning. It's like, okay, man, I'm trying not to be part of the problem, but I'm so embedded in the problem. And how do we come to terms with that? And how do we work within that, and so that's actually a great question. And I love that awareness. And I like that, that's sort of almost haunting you or whatever, right? Because I have the same sort of thing. It's like, I'll just say it in regards to the stock market. Like, it's like a lot of the companies that I may want to invest in, fundamentally, I'm not aligned with what they're up to, right? And no judgment, good, bad, whatever. But it's like, if I'm not aligned with them and I don't really want to partake, but then I'm investing in them, like there's that conflict. And the COVID was very freeing for me because it sort of forced my hand to be like, all right, it just forced my hand, and I was able to release myself from that. And I'm not saying that anybody else should. It's just my own mental hopscotchery around it. But it was actually a big turning point for me to release myself from that idea, and the idea that the stock market is a source of like the easy money or the revenue or whatever it is. Once I was willing to let go of that finally and completely, for me, because I'm a compulsive, addictive person by nature who had to quit gambling back in the 90s. And so to be right, like it's really extreme for me. So to be, even if I'm responsibly diversified within the markets, like it's messing with my brain is the only way I can say it. So I to get out. And then I think ironically, or I don't know if coincidentally, whatever the word may be, like all of a sudden as soon as I did that, new creativity and inspiration flooded in. And it was like, oh my God, once I could let go of that, like all of a sudden, all this new stuff has really started percolating. And I think some other things have aligned for me too, but I'm just relating that to sort of that struggle of what were you talking about? Does that gel, or did I just totally co-opt the
Well,
conversation?
no, it just brings up so many things. Like I'm just thinking of a lot of things, and then there's like the topic of the podcast, but then there's also just where, kind of where I'm at and in this point in my life, where you're at in your life and what's important to us and what's relevant. And yeah, these are the I don't know if I want to even call them struggles, but they're the issues that we're dealing with. I try not to buy disposable plastics, right?
Yes.
And single-use disposable plastics and packaging and stuff like that. I'm aware of it. I do buy it. And I'm aware of, that if there's an option to not buy it, I don't buy it. And when I say that, I think of two things. I think as a person, I always need to be up to something.
Yeah.
If it wasn't being I don't even think I'm a crusader, someone that speaks about and shares about not using plastics and styrofoam. If it wasn't that, it would be something else, And I just think that's my nature. I think it's everyone's kind of to a certain extent, but I think that's my nature. And we want to be up to something,
Yeah.
You want to be up to something. I want to be up to something. Your kids are pretty much grown. I don't have kids. And also, the self-indulgence, I've kind of done a lot of that. I've surfed wherever I've wanted to surf. I will continue to, and kite surf. And I've done all of the hobbies and the toys and stuff. So now it's what else am I doing? What other
Well,
things
I
outside
say,
of myself?
I think that what you're up to now is super cool, right? The Sant eyewear. I mean, we could talk about that. I think that is very cool. One is that, what kind of beans? What beans are they?
Castor beans.
Castor beans. So 3D printed. So you're you're on the 3D cutting edge, maybe bleeding edge. I don't know, cutting edge, somewhere in that. Somewhere in that realm, and really embracing this is what I see, and then you can fill in the blanks. So you're you from what I've got to be a part of is watching you develop your mission statement and trying to clean up the manufacturing chain of things, right? Like every step. How would you say that? I don't mean to say it for you.
Well, I don't know. I know what you're saying, but I don't know if that's completely what I'm up to.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Okay. Well, I mean, I think like you like the idea of 3D printing. You like the idea of slow fashion. I think I've heard you say you like the idea of it's like, not only do I want to have a environmentally friendly sunglass that's made out of castor bean oil, so that it's completely environmentally friendly, and we're not, I love the fact that how it shocks you how many people don't understand that plastics are made from oil.
Yeah.
Right. But we can save that. We don't need to digress into that right now, but that's a great, I love that. But that also,
that was a bitch slap.
Yeah. Right.
A good one.
Yeah.
I learned
that you like the idea of crafting something in America, like bringing the idea that, hey, maybe the 3D printing model, we can bring, like, I can support the local environment. So I love that. And then support it with environmentally friendly, what do you call
pouches, packaging. Yeah. The whole mission.
Yeah. So,
yep.
And so you're coming up with some super cool designs. So tell me about that. What's up? Where are you there? What's happening?
Yeah. So I'm a product designer, industrial designer, and I've worked in eyewear for over 25 years. I can't believe it's been that long. I've launched many brands as a helping hand. I've worked in high end, working with Oliver Peoples. I learned a lot working for Larry Light, the owner of Oliver Peoples at the time. We put together collections for Prada and Miu Miu. high fashion stuff. It was really cool working with Japanese designers. So I have a deep background in eyewear design and manufacturing and brand management and having my own companies. And about 2+ years ago, I came across a 3D printing output that just, the light bulb clicked. I mean, 3D printing's been around since I was in college, and that was 25 years ago, and but it hadn't made the strides that it's made. And I saw this part, and the quality was good, and the price was looking like it was going to be good enough. And I had a vision of what it might look like, because this is just a harsh little plastic, rough finished piece. And I had this vision and started doing some research. A couple other companies had tried to go for it, and no one's really had made it happen. And that was 2.5 years ago. And since then, a couple of companies have started to get a little bit of traction, mostly out of Europe. And so basically what it is, it's conventional manufacturing is you make a mold, you injection mold it, and 98% of eyewear is made in Asia, either Taiwan or China. So you're shipping parts across the oceans. And so there were so many things that kind of came together, or, that kind of clicked for me. One, having total autonomy in the development, just being able to do it on your own and not relying on a factory and their pushback and restrictions and stuff like that. The environment of not having to ship across the oceans. And I didn't know where it was going to go, but I kind of had to have faith that it is the future, and who knows, right? So I just started learning, and I wasn't even a good 3D modeler. I would usually have the factories do that. I do the design drawings, and then they would build it in 3D. So I've learned to do that, and I've produced hundreds of pairs already, and I'm gearing up to do a new brand, and something that kind of fell in my lap, I feel like, about a month and a half ago. I'd been doing some research but hadn't seen it and until about a month and a half ago, and that is 3D printing with the same process that gives me the same part, but instead of using petroleum fossil fuel based plastic, it's a polymer. I don't think polymer is the right word, but it's a material that is made from castor bean oil. And the farming and the Hewlett Packard joined with BASF, another big company, and they've put a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, into sustainably growing these castor beans. And this product, the frames, are going to be 3D printed from sustainably sourced plant-based castor bean oil. And so that's just really exciting.
That is really exciting. It's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculously cool. And B, you're really good at what you do. So your sunglasses are sexy as they are sexy, my friend. Cool. I got a couple pair. So it's fun to watch that progression. I love that. I know what a moment for me was I have this idea that I get something in the mail, right? Or whatever it is, and it's the shiny product. So I just assume that the putting together of said product is super shiny, right? Like, you're like, here, Mischa, here's how these glasses get put together, right? You're like in the garage and gluing that, just all that. I was like, wait, what? There isn't a machine that
right.
puts all this stuff together?
Eyewear is a unique product for sure. Yeah.
That was an eye-opening moment for me. I was like, holy mackerel. That's like, I figured that just like it all just kind of in a bubble came together, but whatever. Well, that's super cool. Where, if somebody wanted to check out Sant Eyewear, where are they going to go?
Well, I haven't launched it yet. Stern Optics, we have some lifestyle glasses on sternoptics.com. So that was kind of my initial launch, just to test the product to see if I could do it and if people would like it and wear it, because it's a different type of product. It has a textured finish, and it's just a little different material than what people are accustomed to. yeah. So Sant Eyewear will SAUNT eyewear.com will launch third or fourth month of next year of 2021. That's my goal right now.
Cool,
Yeah.
which is right around the corner. So if somebody wanted to buy some of your super cool 3D printed glasses, which are, I'll tell you what, the cool thing about them is I love them. They are they just are light. I don't know if light's the right word, but they just have that. Yeah, they're light. They fit really good. I really like them. High quality lenses. So if somebody wanted a pair now, they could get more of the lifestyle glass at stern.com, as well as they could get a water glass or a glass that they could windsurf with or kite surf with or whatever, right? So that's sternoptics.com.
Yep. And I'm on my Instagram, which I don't even know what the heck my thing is. It's just my name.
Yeah.
I'm the only Kabbash, but Kabbash. I'm doing posts for Sant. I actually haven't even released the name yet on there.
Yeah.
But I'm doing posts on, but I'll be posting and promoting through all my own personal, because it is personal. It's my baby, and
Yeah.
So
santeyewear.com, as well as anybody who maybe not is interested in eyewear and just the idea of 3D, the frontier of 3D printing, the idea of really cool industrial design. I know you've done not just sunglasses, but have worked on all sorts of things, and so have a ton of experience there. Maybe the Batmobile at some point, is that right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Batmobile. So and then just the sustainable product. I think that missing piece is so cool to fit into it.
And that so
inspiring.
Yeah.
I would also say, like anybody, who knows who and when or what, if anybody listens to this, I love the idea that perhaps let's think of somebody famous that we like. Tell me somebody famous
that I like.
Yeah.
Richard Branson.
I love the idea that Richard Branson could be like, hey, you know what, Tom? I want a batch of 1,000 Virgin branded, sustainably produced sunglasses that are just, one, look amazing, two, are good, well, not bad for the environment, and you can one-off it like that, and really the 3D printing within what you're doing gives a lot of flexibility that wasn't there before. So you really could do some cool projects in small batches for people if they were inspired in that regard. Yes.
Awesome. I have a couple of things that I'm excited about in regards to this whole process. And one is that manufacturing I can help set up eyewear manufacturing in any country of the world if they want to do it themselves. And that's an entirely new way. And that's the future. Shipping products all over the planet is we can't sustain that. So it's part of the bigger solution. And look, these printers generate a lot of heat. They are not inexpensive. They're, $250,000 setups for each one. That price will come down. But just tooling, which is the injection mold costs, can get up to hundreds of thousands of dollars when you're running a whole bunch of eyewear. So I see a time in the future that, look, nothing that I'm doing is also proprietary, meaning I have all this experience in eyewear, so I'm applying it. I have a lot of technical experience, and I've learned a lot about 3D printing, so I make products outside of eyewear as well, utilizing this 3D printing process. But how exciting is it to really play a part in the shift of how we manufacture goods and parts and things in our world? So that is on the one hand. And then on the other hand, this company, Sant Eyewear, is going to do everything. We're going to do everything. I'm going to do everything I can to be, follow the likes of even Patagonia uses, a lot of things that aren't preferable for the environment. But so I'm just excited to keep it as sustainable as possible, negative carbon imprint if possible down the road, things like that. So it's a great opportunity to finally do something versus just talking about it.
Dude, amazing. Like it's super fun to watch that process and to see inevitably what you are doing now will help other people in other, I don't know if industries are the right word, but in other, arenas. If somebody was like, hey, Tom, you've got this amazing knowledge base around that, and they wanted to talk to you about that, so maybe even outside of sunglasses or within sunglasses, they could send you an email or they could reach out to you.
Yeah, you can email me at tom@kabbashdesign.com, just KABBASH design.com. And nothing, I haven't invented anything that hasn't been invented, but I've pulled together things and I have a lot of experience and would love to share that or move it forward. I just can imagine places like Africa and places of the world where it's very difficult, or they have to import from China, to be able to set up a manufacturing operation there that they can make things locally for themselves, work with the local designers and creatives. That would be like beyond my wildest dream. So in 5 or 10 years, if I'm doing that, that will be amazing.
Beautiful. I think that's a fine place to end. For me, I'll just say this just to put it out there for people, but it's, I was like, most people, when they start a podcast, who do you interview? You interview the people within your circle and who, family, friends, right? And then of course my need to be defiant and different and this and that, or, special. I was like, yeah, well, maybe I'll skip that process and just go to outside people or new people, right? And I interviewed Lisa first, and hopefully we'll get her podcast up soon. And then I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about you, and I'm like, man, I know some people within my circle that are really up to some really cool stuff spiritually, work-wise, whatever, just across the gamut. So why not take advantage of that? So you're a big part of that. Hence, I was like, I got to call Tom. Tom's an amazing guy. He's doing some awesome stuff and has pretty cool life experience. So love you.
Thank you, Mischa.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for spending time with me today. As someone who is committed to growth and service to this world, I so appreciate your willingness to come with me, go within, and serve our world through change. If you found value in this podcast and you know someone who can use this message, share this episode with them. Share it so our mission can be achieved one episode at a time. And of course, subscribe so you can hear more. And lastly, for my free Insider's Guide to Finding Peace, go to belove.media/peace. That's B as in boy, ELOVE.media/PEACE. It's my 8-step guide to finding peace now. It's a super powerful tool. I use it all the time. Check it out. I'm offering it to you for free. Thank you again for listening.